All right, what's happening, y'all? I am flying solo for the time being. Danny's just on his way back from the gym, so I'll try and hold down the fort until he gets back. So fire away. Whatever we want to talk about, we will discuss here. What's up, Nate? Don't mind that DM, Danny LMAO. Yeah, I'm sure Spicy Hot was reaching out to Danny, asking him when the live stream would start. Yeah, I'm holding it down until Danny gets in here. I'm assuming he'll be in here in the next, 5 minutes or so. So, I'll be holding it down by myself until he gets in here. Gaskin's time is now. LOL. What's good, Bush? Yeah, I was the Myles Gaskin hater, so to speak, on during the offseason. But I mean, it's definitely nice to see Gaskin have a good game. I am still a little concerned by the fact that he didn't receive the volume workload and the opportunity share workload that he quite saw last year. But it looks like the offense has improved. It looks like Tua is going to play a little bit better. I still have my concerns long term about Myles Gaskin. So if somebody in your league is willing to spend high on him, if you can get, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an overreaction. If you can get a guy like, I doubt you'd be able to get like a DeAndre Swift, but somebody in that tier of running back, if somebody's willing to give you someone like that for Myles Gaskin, I still think I would be willing to sell him. Maybe James Robinson, for example, if you wanted to buy low on him. That's kind of the way I view Gaskin. Again, I was encouraged what I saw. It was definitely encouraging to see, but I'm not fully bought in quite yet. Josh says, what's up? What's up? The short caller says, with Raheem Mostert out, thoughts on Trey Sermon? Yeah, so whether Trey Sermon gets activated or not, I think is not a choice to Kyle Shanahan anymore, because with Raheem Mostert out, he's going to have to be activated now. So Elijah Mitchell's a tough case, man. I loved Elijah Mitchell coming out. If you guys were following the channel in the offseason, Elijah Mitchell, I had ranked higher than Trey Sermon prior to the actual draft. Once Trey Sermon obviously got third-round draft capital, Elijah Mitchell went in the sixth round, I switched them up. But from a talent perspective, what I saw in college, I actually thought Elijah Mitchell was the better prospect. So if Elijah Mitchell's going to get the crack at the starting job, I'm going to buy in. I'm willing to spend, 20, 30% of my fab budget on Elijah Mitchell, but I'm not going to go overboard and spend all my fab budget on him, because this is Kyle Shanahan. We've been burned by him in the past. So this has got to be one of the biggest takeaways of the entire week, is this Trey Sermon. And honestly, the whole 49ers team, because the Ayuk news is really, really shocking to me as well. I'm really hoping what we saw with Brandon Ayuk was a measured, contingency so that he wouldn't get re-injured. I'm hoping that's why he was limited in this game. But with Ayuk and with Sermon, it's definitely really, really strange to see that pulled out of left field in week one. What's up? Nathan couldn't click fast enough, of course. Waller's B-Day today. He had to go off. Yeah, I mean, Darren Waller's definitely could be in for a big game in this one. I don't think they got anybody who can stop him on that Ravens defense. Jared says, bro, I lost my 5-leg Tennessee Arizona parlay because they couldn't kick a freaking field goal to hit the over. Man, I bet on your Titans and they disappointed me. So I'm definitely a little bit upset with that one, because I thought your Titans were going to take care of business against the Cardinals, and they got taken care of. So, all right, Bryson, my Saints coming for that division. I actually kind of like the fact that the Saints might be good, because as a Bucs fan, honestly, it wouldn't have been very fun for us to just roll the NFC South. If the Saints were a complete dumpster fire, it wouldn't have been any fun. I like the Saints being our biggest rival. I dislike the Saints with every fiber of my being. So if you guys are good, that's going to make for two very, entertaining games for the division this year. So bring it on, Bryson. I don't think you're touching you're touching the champs here, but you guys have won the division the last 3 years, so I'll give you some respect. Nathan says, looking forward to watching Lamar shred the Raiders tonight. Yeah, he is my quarterback one on the week, has the only one who's yet to play other than Derek Carr. So hopefully Lamar can put up some numbers tonight. I know a lot of people need like 37 points out of Lamar to win their week one matchup. Let's see if he can come through. I need the Swift victory lap right now. Save me from trading him for A-Rob. Yeah, man. I don't want a victory lap week one, but it looks like DeAndre Swift is here to stay. It looks like exactly what we wanted out of DeAndre Swift was the Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara role. With these two coaching staffs coming together, we wanted DeAndre Swift to be that guy. I knew Jamal Williams was going to be involved. That doesn't shock me one bit. I don't want DeAndre Swift getting a Joe Mixon-like work, 85% of the work and 34 touches. I don't want DeAndre Swift getting that. What I wanted DeAndre Swift is exactly what he got. 12 carries and 11 targets. That's exactly what I want out of DeAndre Swift. 12 to 15 carries, 7, 8, 9 targets per game. That's exactly what Alvin Kamara gets. It's exactly what Austin Eckler gets. It's the perfect role for a guy like DeAndre Swift. So I am very happy the fact that I own DeAndre Swift in 3 out of my 7 leagues, and all 3 of my redraft leagues, I own DeAndre Swift. So that is definitely very helpful. Brock says, Saquon, Ayuk, and Callaway got me down bad. What do we do with Ayuk, and can Lamar score 30 to save me week 1? Lamar can absolutely score 30. So you're still in okay shape, I would say. Brandon Ayuk, I would hold him for now. There's no sense in trading him away. If you're going to actually do something with Ayuk, I would go buy him if you can, because the owner might be panicking if they were maybe unsure about Ayuk in the first place. Now they see this Deebo Samuel breakout game and Brandon Ayuk drops a donut. There's a good chance you can get Brandon Ayuk for some subpar receivers. If you can get him for, I don't know, Robbie Anderson type, if you can get him for Jarvis Landry, someone like if you can get him in that neighborhood of player, which I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to in some leagues where people are a little bit more down on Ayuk. So if you can go buy Ayuk, I would, because I don't think he's going to be dropping donuts every single week. I think he's going to be a very, very big force in the fantasy season once he recovers from this hamstring injury, which is hopefully sooner rather than later. So how much fab would you spend on Mitchell? This is a very common question that I'm sure we're going to get this week. I would say no more than 20 to 30%. As I mentioned, I believe Elijah Mitchell is a great player, but this is Kyle Shanahan. We never know what's going to happen. This could have been an Elijah Mitchell game, and next week comes out and Trey Sermon gets 15 touches and Elijah Mitchell gets 3. Like it's very possible that something like that happens. So I am not willing to drop 50% of my budget on Elijah Mitchell. But what I am willing to do is 20, 30, maybe 40% if you're desperate for a running back. That's what I'm willing to spend on Elijah Mitchell, because there's actually a clip from the rookie sleepers video, the top 5 rookie sleepers video that I did in, I believe it was like late May or so. I actually said Elijah Mitchell, it wouldn't shock me at all. It's really crazy that I said this. If Elijah Mitchell comes out and he's the starting running back in week 1, I literally said that in the video. So I actually think that's kind of hilarious that I kind of like pseudo predicted that. But yeah, Elijah Mitchell, you're the one doing the waiver show. I'll let you give your quick thoughts on Mitchell right now.
Yeah, I'm a lot higher than that, to be honest. With most,
really, you're willing to drop the numbers on him?
Replacement, honestly. Oh yeah, like 50+% easily. Again, especially in my type of situation, how I like building my teams. Can you hear me? By the way, am I lagging?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, my fucking shit's frozen over here. Give me a second.
What the fuck? Yeah. Right. Okay, so you're a bit higher on him. 20. Okay. You're probably not going to get him for 20%. I'm willing to go 30 to 40 to 50%, depending on how desperate you are for running backs. If you went with a hero RB type of approach, for example, you got Dalvin Cook as your main running back, but you got Nyheim Hines and James White's as your other running back. You want to drop 40% of your budget on Elijah Mitchell? I don't blame you, because he could absolutely be a weekly RB2. Even if Trey Sermon's on the field, we now know that Raheem Mostert's going to be on IR, at least for the next 8 weeks or so. And if this is Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell's going to have weekly flex appeal, whether Trey Sermon's on the field or not.
Yeah, like I legitimately would be willing to drop like 50, 60% just to
really?
Make sure
okay,
I can.
so
like,
you are
keep in mind too, if you're more stacked, if you're more stacked at running back and you're getting him as your RB4, RB5, okay, I understand like not wanting to spend as much. But for like the way my teams are built, where I'm strong at the wide receiver position, strong at the tight end position, strong at the quarterback position, I'm willing to take the risk on that RB2 because I know it completes my lineup. So again, it just kind of depends on the philosophy, depends on the structure of your team. But I've seen enough from Elijah Mitchell. I love him pre-draft. I love the fit with him and Shanahan. And for some reason, like I messaged you today, I'm like, are we at all shocked if this ends up being a 2017 Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams type of situation where Jamal Williams was the 3rd down pick, but Aaron Jones ended up outperforming him, ended up being the more efficient player in the long run?
Also, something hilarious in that video, that top 5 rookie sleepers video, I brought up that exact comparison, that it could be that situation. So it's possible. Yeah. I'm not going to go out and say that Mitchell's going to be the better running back. He's going to be better for fantasy because the draft capital does speak to some degree on Trey Sermon. But again, just because he was drafted higher, Kyle Shanahan doesn't care. Like if Elijah Mitchell's the better running back, he's the better running back, and Kyle Shanahan will play him. He doesn't care that he sunk a 3rd round pick into Trey Sermon. He didn't care that he sunk all that money into Jerick McKinnon. He played Raheem Mostert over him. So it's definitely possible that that 30, 40, 50, 60%, whatever you're willing to spend on Elijah Mitchell could be well worth it if this guy's an RB2 the rest of the year.
Man, my connection's bad.
Yeah, no worries. I'll handle it for the time being. Brock says, also, what should we trade Saquon for? I would do not trade away Saquon Barkley. Please do not trade away Saquon Barkley. I think you should have been expecting something like this. What happened with Saquon being a little bit limited? Don't panic yet. I think he was just being eased in. If somebody's willing to give you some great offer for Saquon, I highly doubt that's the case. But if somebody's willing to give you like Aaron Jones plus, like Aaron Jones and Mike Evans for Saquon, then sure, trade him away. But I highly doubt somebody's going to do that with the current state of the Giants offense, what it looked like the other day. So I would hold the Saquon Barkley. If you drafted him, you had to know this was one of the risks, but you drafted Saquon Barkley for week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7. You didn't draft him for week 1, week 2. I think there's going to be some bumps in the road, but stand pat, don't panic, and hopefully you can squeeze out some wins until he gets back to his full Saquon form. Jorge says, or George, I don't know how to pronounce names. Should I be worried about Calvin Ridley? LOL, I'm good at receiver. I have Metcalf, Michael Thomas, Jamar Chase, and Devontae Smith. I would absolutely not be worried about Calvin Ridley one bit. Sometimes receivers have down games. Maybe Darius Slay has a little bit left in the tank still. I have no idea, but do not panic. Do not worry about Calvin Ridley. I'm sure he will be just fine. I can't hear you. You're muted.
I said, don't worry about Calvin Ridley at all. Still had 8 targets, despite the offense throwing a total of 35 times in a game that was a blowout. Like, Calvin Ridley went 3 for 39 in the first drive. Like, that's the type of production I expect. Yes, he finished 5 for 51, but realistically, the game script got out of hand. I mean, this is a team that it's weird because I guess it's an augmented 12 personnel they're running, but basically Hayden Hearst has been acting as that third weapon on the field.
Well, they use Pitts so much in versatile ways that he was essentially their second outside slot receiver, which is exactly what we wanted out of Pitts and exactly why we were high on Pitts. Let me pull it up. I'll let you go to the next question, but Levitan tweeted out his exact usage. I'm trying to pull up right now.
How good do you think TJ Hawkins is going to be this year? Oh boy, like he's a locked and loaded top 5 tight end with the potential to maybe challenge that top 3. I really do. I mean, he's got the talent. I mean, the funniest stat I found is that, again, this can't carry over on a week-to-week basis, but Jared Goff completed 38 passes. 24 of them, 24 went to Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, and TJ Hawkinson. That means that the wide receiver core combined for 14 completions.
Yeah.
The leader being
and those
Khalif
guys,
Raymond.
they had like 30 targets between those positions too, because Swift had 11, Williams had 9, and Hawkinson had 10, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And technically speaking, I actually think Hawkinson got 11, but they credit it to Cephas. I don't know. I saw that on Twitter, but either way, 30 of 58 targets from the quote unquote dump off positions, which kind of goes to show you how Detroit's going to run their offense and how Jared Goff feels comfortable distributing the passes. And talking about Jared Goff, I mean, maybe he's not a real life quarterback, but if he's going to be chucking the ball that much on a per game basis, again, keep in mind, they're probably not going to be down by 30 points every single week, but they're not going to be a great team. That defense is hot garbage. Like, we could see a Jared Goff year where he averages 45 plus pass attempts per game. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. And you want to hear something interesting? Kyle Pitts played 49 snaps in the game. He was split in the slot 23 times, split wide 14 times. So that's 37 of his 49 snaps. He was not in line at tight end, which is exactly what we want out of Kyle Pitts because the guy's a freak. And just real quick, we skipped over this. Any Monday night locks? I actually did place a bet in this game. I'm feeling the Vegas atmosphere of this new stadium. I placed a bet. It was a 6-point teaser. So I got the Raiders plus 9.5 and I parlayed it with the under of 56. So I got 6 extra points. The line is actually minus 3.5. The over-under is actually 50, but I did a 6-point teaser and a parlay so that they'd have to get over 56 and they'd have to, the Ravens would have to cover 10 points. So I think I like the Raiders' chances to cover that.
Also, Corey, I will be right back. I want to see if my Ethernet works. I just plugged it in. Okay.
Yep. No worries.
All right.
So Josh says real quick. Okay. Never mind. We already went over that. All right. I got the first round pick in the waiver wire. Oh, okay. So you are still running with a one of the systems where the priority gets the first round pick. I personally prefer Fab, but if you are in one of those systems and you're wondering, should I spend my number 1 waiver priority on Elijah Mitchell, you absolutely should spend your number one waiver priority on Elijah Mitchell. He is far and away the best waiver wire pickup this week. I do also like, and again, Danny's going to talk about waivers more tomorrow, but I do also really like KJ Hamler and Tim Patrick with Jerry Jeudy going out. I think both of those guys have a chance, especially Hamler with the way he played, I think. Those guys definitely have a chance to make a contribution, but I do think the primary beneficiaries of Jerry Jeudy's injury will be Noah Fant and Cortland Sutton, because they were the two weapons I was most concerned with. What do you make of Eckler getting 0 targets week 1? I'm pretty sure he got 0 targets week 1 last year as well, which, I mean, it was Tyrod, but whatever. I don't really care that much how many targets Eckler got. It was a tough matchup. The Chargers were always going to be in a tough situation in this game. Maybe they matched up Eckler and game planned for him well. They have a very good defense in Washington, so I'm not concerned. I think Eckler is still a guy that I've always kind of bought into, that like mid RB1, back end RB1 type of range. So if you have Austin Eckler, again, I wouldn't be panicking whatsoever. Spicy Yacht says, I'm confused why this was all under the table. I'm all confused right now what he's even talking about. But anyway, the short caller says Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. That is Keenan Allen. It's not even particularly close. I know Mike Williams got a lot of targets in this game, but Mike Williams is a guy that is pretty much one play away from getting injured every time. And Mike Williams does not have nearly the connection, the rapport with Justin Herbert that Keenan Allen showed last year. So easily Keenan Allen. Plus, there's a reason you were drafting Keenan Allen about 7 rounds higher than Mike Williams.
Yeah, and I'll quickly mention too, sorry, my Ethernet, I guess, wasn't showing up right now, so I'll just roll on the Wi-Fi. But if you guys have Mike Williams, I understand you're enamored. He had 12 targets. He played really, really well in week 1. But if you're going to start, or if you're going to bench any wide receiver in that Chargers-Cowboys game, it's going to be Mike Williams, because he should be shadowed by Trayvon Diggs.
Is there an more obvious trade possibility than Mike Williams for Brandon Ayuk right now, if you can pull it off?
Man.
If you can sell, like, again,
oh yeah,
it's nothing against Mike Williams. Mike Williams played well. He got a lot of targets, and I really believe in the Chargers offense this year, but it's still Mike Williams, man. Like, he still has, there's a reason he hasn't produced for fantasy for the last 4 years. It's because the guy's always injured. It's because he's a little bit inconsistent. It's because the type of role that he has doesn't lend itself to a lot of targets typically. So if you can sell Mike Williams for a better piece, if you can upgrade from Mike Williams to a Brandon Ayuk who had a down game, maybe you could somehow get Mike Evans or something. If you could add Mike Williams plus something, I would be looking to shop Mike Williams if you have him. It's not that I don't believe in him. I just don't think, I think he might be at his peak value currently.
You could probably even get a package if you wanted to. Like, what about like Elijah Moore plus for Mike Williams? Like, somebody might be willing to do something like that.
Right, but that's a little bit more of like, I'm selling Mike Williams if I can get up a tier. If I can jump from Mike Williams to Ayuk or Mike Williams. So like, if I can really like get up there, because there is going to be overreaction. It's the first game. Anyway, so let's move on to Leonardo's question. Got killed on most of my leagues this week, but we are not giving up yet, boys. Just the start, of course. Every fantasy championship that I've won, and this is also a stat true of Tom Brady, I lost in week 1. So, I mean, sometimes you got to lose in week 1 to win the championship.
I'm on the flip side here. I basically won in every single league apart from the one I care most about, which kind of stings. The one I would notice about, keep in mind, I'm down 35.1 right now with only Lamar Jackson left. The reason being, he just so happened to have, Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, and Sterling Shepard all be top 10 wide receivers this week. Yeah, Deebo Samuel and Sterling Shepard. So
that's a big hit to the brand right there. Those were 2 guys we weren't even willing to spend draft picks on for the most part. But
I mean, like I didn't mind Shepard in best ball, but like 7 for 113 and a touchdown. Like, what?
Yeah. Panthers taking the NFC South. Man, Sam Darnold looked good. I'm not even going to deny it. Sam Darnold looked good in that game. And if that's true, that only like reinforces the stance that I've always had about quarterbacks, that it's always nurture over nature. Like, it's always the system that you're in. It's always who's coaching you, weapons around you, and things of that nature. This is by far the best talent that Sam Darnold has ever had, going back to his days at USC as well, I would say, even too. So the fact that he has all these playmakers around him, I mean, DJ Moore looks like a freaking stud every time he touches the ball. I just wish this guy could get more targets. Christian McCaffrey is a freak of nature. Robbie Anderson makes big plays. Terrace Marshall even looked pretty good in this game. So the fact that Sam Darnold is looking, decent in this offense is a good sign for everybody involved. Montgomery ran like he was shot. Pardon?
I just wanted to quickly say too, can we talk about the fact that in that game in particular, that everybody wanted to get on Zach Wilson for such a bad start, and they ended up completely settling down in the second half.
Yeah, it looks like a Coastal Carolina game.
Yeah, like for real. Like everybody wanted to get on him. And speaking of getting on him, do not panic sell Elijah Moore. I just wanted to say
don't
that
panic sell Elijah Moore. He was like both of those big plays that he could have had
involved.
like would have resulted in a great week for him. And his route rate was very good. His snap share was very good. He was clearly the number 2 receiver.
Over 80% on each.
Yeah, he just didn't quite get the targets and get the volume. It was a Corey Davis game. You know, what do you want? He's the veteran. It makes sense that Corey Davis was able to establish himself faster. He also didn't miss any time during camp like Elijah Moore did. So don't panic sell Elijah Moore. Anyway, Montgomery ran like he was shot out of a cannon. Damn right he did, because he's a good running back. And I've been saying it all offseason.
He is.
David Montgomery took a legitimate step in his second year last year, and people didn't buy it. They said it was the schedule. They said it was the fact that Tariq Cohen was injured. And David Montgomery is going to win a lot of people some money this year, because this is a guy that's literally the cheapest. He was the cheapest workhorse in fantasy. I said it every single time I drafted him. But Philip said he overcame losing Judy and bad outings by Saquon and Ridley with Montgomery, Kyler, and TJ Hawkinson. Yeah, those guys definitely did some numbers for you, and it looks like you got a very good team. Despite losing Judy, you still have a great core to work with, so you're in good shape there. Bryson said, going to be a great year, all love. Yeah, he's a Saints fan, so he said Saints coming for the NFC South this year. But again, like I said, if the Saints are good, that's more fun. I like when the Saints are good, because it means there's actually a rivalry there. If the Saints were a dumpster fire, wouldn't have been as fun this year to mop the floor with them. So Benjamin says need Lamar and Waller 20 each for the W. So if you need 40 points, those in this game, those are the two guys you want going for you, because they're definitely the two highest ceiling players in this matchup.
At the end of the day here, Lamar's going for 36. All you need is 4 from Waller.
Facts. I just had to trade Judy for Marquez Callaway. I'm hurting on the inside. That's not a terrible. I don't know. Is that a bad trade? Do you think it's a bad trade? Because Judy it says it's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. I heard Dr. Jesse Morris say that it's more looking like 8 based on what he knows about the injury, and it could linger. This could look like a great trade if Judy never, regains his full form towards the end of the season. It could also look like a bad trade if Marquez Callaway doesn't do anything and Judy comes back in 5 weeks.
Yeah, if you have an IR spot in your league, this is just not something I would have done. Callaway, I guess he's fine, and it was a tough matchup against Jair, but like realistically here, what is his ceiling? Like what, a wide receiver 3 maybe in the meantime? Like
man, if Jameis plays like that, his ceiling is an actual wide receiver 2.
I think Kamara's going to be the wide receiver.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely.
Production over there.
Kamara's receiving production might be a wide receiver 2 in fantasy, but Marquez Callaway, he had the usage, he had the routes and all that stuff. He just didn't get the targets in that game. Also, I'm not sure off the top of my head. He might have seen a good amount of Jair Alexander in that game.
He definitely did.
Shadowed him, but they probably just avoided throwing at Alexander, which was on Callaway most of the time. So, if Jameis is going to play like that, and Jameis has always had the ability to play like that, then Callaway is going to be valuable. And I actually put out a trade in my league today.
That's fair.
I have Tony Jones Jr. and Rondell Moore, and I offered a Kamara to the Kamara owner, Tony Jones Jr. and Rondell Moore, for Marquez Callaway, because I need another position.
That's an easy move
in my flex. And I don't like what I saw to Rondell Moore. Like, he looked good, obviously, but the route rate and the snap share,
he's the fourth wide receiver.
He was the 4th receiver on the team. I don't really have time currently to wait for him, because I'm starting Javonte Williams as my second flex behind Robbie Anderson right now. And if I can get a guy like Marquez Callaway, I can play the matchups a little bit more with him and Javonte, while Javonte is still taking over that backfield. So that's the reason I made that trade. I think the Kamara owner said he's definitely going to consider it because he is a little worried with Kamara, obviously not having his handcuff. So he really liked the offer anyway. What's Williams' value?
You could quickly before you do that, we left off on Zach Jones. We actually got a $3 super chat here from Kaleo, so we'll show that on the screen real quick. Thoughts on when Javonte Williams takes the 1A? Talked about it in multiple videos. When Javonte Williams takes the 1A in this backfield, he's a legitimate RB1 in my opinion.
I think he means, when do we think it's going to happen?
Week 5. I think that's a good time.
Yeah, I mean, he already was the 1A in this game. He out-touched.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. He out-touched Melvin Gordon in this game. He also out-snapped Melvin Gordon in this game. Melvin Gordon just happened to house a 70-yard touchdown. So he's already the 1A in this offense, but that 1A position, we need it to be obviously 65, 70% of the opportunity share for Javonte to be a consistent starter in fantasy, a guy that we're excited about. So I think it's going to be week 4, week 5. Again, we got a veteran running back in Melvin Gordon. Maybe somebody wants to trade for him. If there's more running back injuries, maybe Melvin Gordon gets hurt. He's an older running back that's dealt with injuries in the past. So there's a lot of ways that Javonte Williams can gain this starting job and become a fantasy RB1 this year. Hopefully he just keeps playing well because he looked really good in this game. Obviously Gordon did get the long touchdown, but they have easier matchups coming up. The Giants defense is actually pretty good against the run. So I was impressed with what I saw. Danny's lagging a little bit. So Zach, just specify if that's Mike Williams, Javonte Williams. Like, I'm not sure which Williams you're talking about. It's a very basic last name, but Andrew says stay away from the 49ers backfield. Definitely a possibility that we could all have that stance. We had a week 1 waiver wire trap last year. Pardon?
I may just switch to my laptop. This Wi-Fi right now is acting up.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry
dude.
about that.
I'll hold down the fort. Yeah. So Andrew says, stay away from the 49ers backfield. Definitely a good piece of advice to put out there. This could be a situation where we look back at Elijah Mitchell as a waiver wire trap. Obviously, we saw Malcolm Brown last year was the week 1 waiver wire trap that we all fell for. So hopefully Elijah Mitchell is not that, but definitely something to monitor. Do you like Patrick or Hamler after the Judy injury? So I like Hamler a little bit better because he is the slot option. He's going to be closer to the middle of the field area. So I like Hamler a lot better because he is the more talented player, in my opinion. But Tim Patrick is also a good pickup. He's been a productive receiver for a number of years. He's been a guy even in the past like 2 years or so that you could throw into your flex spot and have some good games out of. So I think pick your poison there. But KJ Hamler to me has a bit higher of a ceiling just because he has the big play upside on a week over week basis. So he was like an inch away from catching a long touchdown in this one. So I'll take Hamler slightly, but I think Patrick's a good consolation prize if you can't get Hamler. Also have the Devontae and Hurts stack with Chase on the side. I'm kind of hyped for the year now. Yeah, those two guys definitely did very well in their debut together. So that was nice to see. Worried about James Robinson. Do I sell or hold? I mean, it's going to depend for who. If you can get, it's really going to depend for who. I would not sell James Robinson for like Myles Gaskin, Kareem Hunt type of running back. I think I would just hold with James Robinson. This was not a good game script for him, but the problem I'm worried about is there ever going to be a good game for James Robinson? Because if the Jags can't beat the Texans, who are they going to beat? Because the Texans, currently set to be the worst team in the NFL, just wiped the floor with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So yeah, James Robinson, I'd be a little worried. Honestly, because the fact that Carlos Hyde was as involved as he was, James Robinson is clearly not the same guy that he was last year from a workload perspective. So I would hold him for now, but if you can sell him somehow for like a mid RB2, if you like, I don't want to go out and sell James Robinson for Darrell Henderson or Myles Gaskin or Kareem Hunt. So as of right now, I would hold unless you can get someone better than the guys that I just mentioned. Annabella Cruz says, hello there. Hold on, I just lost my question spot in the questions here. Scrolling back up. Okay. High upside, low risk says, should I prioritize Mitchell if I already have Sermon? I am not the Mostert owner, but trying to keep him away from the Mostert owner. So if you have Trey Sermon already, I probably wouldn't drop a crazy amount on Elijah Mitchell because, again, this is the 49ers backfield. We never know what's going to happen. As soon as we think we have it figured out, something changes. So if you have Trey Sermon, you want to spend 25%, 30% of your budget on Elijah Mitchell, that's fine. But don't go out and drop your whole fab budget on Elijah Mitchell because there's a good chance Trey Sermon's back on the field. Maybe it was like a disciplinary reason. Maybe he missed practice or something, why he wasn't active for this game. We have no idea. So I wouldn't go overboard trying to lock down the 49ers backfield if you already have Sermon. That's just, my take on it. I could be wrong about that, but my take on it is that if I'm going to get a piece of this 49ers backfield, I'm going to do it with Sermon still. I still think Sermon would be the back to own there, but if Mitchell is the guy, I don't want to be overly invested in this backfield because it has burned us in the past. So ASMR Danny, LOL. I need Mark Andrews and Tyson Williams to do less than 24 points combined. That's going to be a tough one. I think Mark Andrews is going to have a big game in this one. So hopefully I'm cheering for you there. Spicy Odds says Danny the Manny. I got combined points of a whopping 8 from both running backs. Yeah, my DFS lineups have really suffered with Najee Harris and James Robinson. A lot of these guys that I was betting on in DFS this week Derrick Henry. These guys all shit the bed for me. So I was definitely upset about that one. Rejected Kelsey and Penny for Pitts and Mitchell. I grabbed Mitchell before game time and rejected. Am I crazy? Yeah, you are absolutely crazy, Theodore. Kelsey is, I don't care what Mitchell does. I don't care how good Pitts is. Kelsey is worth more than both of those guys combined, in my opinion. So I would have taken the Kelsey and Penny side. Again, Penny he's injured, so you just drop him and pick somebody else up. But Kelsey for Pitts and Mitchell, I will take Kelsey there pretty convincingly. Ouch. I know, Nathan, by the way, I'm Anna. Yeah, true. Yeah, she's on here with multiple accounts. Ayuk and Aaron Jones screwed me over this week. Yeah, pretty sure a lot of people got destroyed by that. You're someone who should spend up on Mitchell. Annoyed with the Lions' fourth quarter. Was insane narrative to discredit Swift. He had 4 fantasy points in the fourth. Yeah, I mean, like, everything I saw to Swift was encouraging. Again, Jamal Williams had a good game, but like I said, I am very encouraged with what I saw to Swift in the first game. I'm not concerned whatsoever. Trade CEH for Kyle Pitts and Devin Singletary. Oh, I don't like Devin Singletary at all. I think CEH and Singletary are like the same exact player. So I personally, Danny's in here right now. Maybe I can pop him in. He's currently eating, so I don't want to pull him in right now. But oh man, CEH and Kyle Pitts and CEH for Kyle Pitts and Singletary is close. I think I would hold CEH there, but I definitely don't dislike the move if you choose to do that. I'll pull Danny in when he's done eating, and he'll give his thoughts on that. A-Rod dropping 1 point, save me. What do you think about that trade?
Oh, I'm still taking CEH as much as I don't like him.
Yeah, I agree with that because like Kyle Pitts again, I liked what I saw to Kyle Pitts, but it's not like you're getting, would you do it with Hawkinson? If that was Hawkinson, would you do it?
No.
Or Andrews? Does it change at all, or
No.
would it need to be one of those top 3, Kittle, Waller, Kelsey, for you to do that?
Yeah, but nobody would do that.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. A-Rod dropping 1 point saved me from losing in a league to a bunch of boomers. Yeah, I mean, I in our listener dynasty league, I had Ryan Fitzpatrick drop me like negative 4.8 points, otherwise, or 0.48 points. Otherwise, I would have won in that league too. So that's a big pain there. Jared says also the league I was about to ask, where I had Brady, Amari, and Godwin and had 111 to 0 point lead. I won by 2 points. Dude had Russ, Nyuk, CMC. Thank God AJ Brown caught that touchdown. Yeah, I actually Rob Deli Meats. I was giving him the schmang after the first couple of games, but he had some guys show up for me. He had Tyreek, he had Jameis. Both of those guys dropped 40 plus points. So because we were in a 6 point per passing touchdown league, so Jameis dropped big numbers in that one. That one made me a little nervous. I'm like, I can't believe I'm about to blow this lead against Deli Meats here. Minwa says, would you trade? Oh yeah, this was the same trade we talked about already. So he also adds, I have Derrick Henry, Fournette, and Tyson Williams as my running backs. Yeah, I think I would just hold CEH there, Minwa. Love that CMC is back to being him, and people who took Cook over him look like fools. Yeah, anybody who didn't take CMC first overall was trolling to begin with. Literally, like, what are you doing? Eckler surprised me getting that goal line carry. Yeah, he surprised me a little bit too, to be honest. When I saw that, I was playing against Eckler in my home league, the one I cared most about. The fact that Eckler got into the end zone, I'm like, the one time he gets a rushing touchdown, I'm playing against him. Danny's eating waffles, I think, by the looks of it. Anyway, I'll let him explain in a second. Any concern for Aaron Jones, Najee Harris? No, none, not at all. Najee Harris quite literally played every single snap for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. That is insane. Not even Christian McCaffrey does that. So I'm not worried one bit for Najee Harris. I think he's one of the biggest buy lows in all of fantasy right now. And Aaron Jones, same thing. If anybody's worried about Aaron Jones, they should not be. Yeah, they like used other running backs, but they were sitting their starters like halfway through the third quarter because they were getting romped. So I'm not really taking too much, into account with what happened with the Packers offense in general. I'm kind of just going to throw that out of the window. Brock said, yeah, I'm just worried about Saquon because with the Judy injury on my team, I'm really weak at flex and could easily start 0-3 or 0-4 unless Ayuk breaks out. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough position to be in. If you were going to trade Saquon, I would want to see if you can get a guy like the two that Mono Ghost just mentioned, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris. If you can get one of those guys, plus maybe a flex piece on top of it, maybe someone's willing to give you Aaron Jones and Najee Harris, or not, Aaron Jones and Robbie Anderson or something like that. If you can get someone to give you that for Saquon, maybe you could get away with that. But as it stands right now, I'm just not sure you're going to get the value that you're looking for out of Saquon Barkley if you try to trade him. Julian says, would you rather have Ayuk or Terry? That would have been Terry before the 0 point game out of Ayuk. So I mean, I love Ayuk, but he was never in that Terry conversation to begin with. So definitely Terry McLaurin there. Trey Sermon has me sad, and Ayuk. Yeah, I hate freaking Kyle Shanahan sometimes, man. I don't know why he's doing some shit like that. Keep Terry 100%. Yep. Hockey's this year's Waller. Yep. I did write that in our draft guide. Breakout tight ends, potential league winning tight ends. I wrote that TJ Hawkinson could have a Darren Waller like season this year is what I wrote. So hopefully that comes to fruition. Minwa says I had Ayuk, Henry, Gesicki, Adams, and Evans scored the lowest in my fantasy football career. Yeah. It's hard to believe he scored that low of points with guys like Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Brandon Ayuk, not Mike Gesicki because he stinks, but the rest of those guys, they were all big-time disappointments this week. Elijah Moore going to have a couple more weeks before his breakout. I mean, it's possible. I think coming off of the injury, he didn't get a lot of preseason action. He didn't get any preseason action, in fact. So it might have just been a slow start to him. Again, we saw T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Justin Jefferson. Those guys took until week 3 to really break onto the scene. So it's possible Elijah Moore takes till week 3, week 4 to really get his legs under him. But I'm hopeful going forward that he's going to be a guy that you can still flex. Julian said, I chose to grab Javonte Williams and Damian Harris over TJ Hawkinson because I punted RB2. I have no qualms with that decision, although I probably would have taken TJ Hawkinson over Damian Harris. I don't hate the decision to take Javonte Williams over TJ Hawkinson. And I think you're in a pretty good position right now because with your RB2, you can play Damian Harris for the time being. And then once we see Javonte take over that backfield, then you can kind of just swap those guys out. Maybe play Damian Harris, continue to play Damian Harris at your flex spot. But I think you're in good shape. I know passing on TJ Hawkinson looks kind of rough right now, but he's going to have up and down games, I'm sure, with the Lions offense being what it is.
Yep.
Okay, Lions will be the king of garbage time scoring this year with that defense and some solid offensive players. I don't disagree. I think that definitely could be a situation that we're looking at. Jared Goff actually didn't look too bad either. This is a system that fits him pretty well with the kind of Saints-Chargers scheme that they're running there. I think Jared Goff can operate that system similar to the one he operated in Los Angeles, only now he's forcing a lot more balls to his running backs, which he was never doing really in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I quickly want to say I have a disgusting amount of exposure to the Lions stack. And if you guys have checked their playoff schedule, like I know you don't want to do that right now, but their playoff schedule is literally facing like all like high octane offenses that should have high pace of plays. Like talking about like the Seahawks, the Falcons, like teams like that in the playoffs. Like the Lions, that could be the one that nobody expected that ends up winning them championships.
Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with that take. Elijah had around 100 air yards and targets. I mean, Elijah Moore, not Elijah Mitchell. Okay, I was tripping out for a second. Yeah, Elijah Moore had 2 big time targets that if he hits them, they're long touchdowns. And Wilson underthrew him, I think, both times on both of those throws. So Elijah Moore looked fine to me. I think he'll be just fine going forward. Give these guys a like. Yes, appreciate that, Alex. If you guys haven't already done so, like the stream up. We do bust our ass, and we appreciate the best kept secret talk, of course. Ball is life. Eliphas is ball. I don't know how to pronounce the rest of that, but I'm assuming it's ball is life backwards. Yeah. Why Juju Stink Schuster get the most wide receiver snaps on Pittsburgh? I believe both Deontay and Chase Claypool left briefly went to the medical tent briefly. I think both are fine.
Yeah, I know Claypool did.
Yeah, Claypool did and Deontay did. So I'm assuming that's why Juju had the most snaps. Juju is not anybody I want to be owning in fantasy this year. 7 targets, 4 receptions, 52 yards is the most Juju Smith-Schuster stat line I've ever heard in my life. I think that's what we're going to get each and every week out of a guy like him. Any early buy lows? Yes, you will be seeing that tomorrow. I will be dropping my top 5 trade targets video, and I'll also mention some guys that I think you should trade away. I haven't really decided how I'm going to work that video yet, but I might talk about 5 guys that you should trade. You should trade for, maybe 3 guys you should trade away, something like that. So stay tuned for that. That'll be each and every Tuesday. I'm talking trade targets. Bilal says y'all sold me on that Barkley over Swift. I think we told him to start Barkley over Swift. I'm guessing. Yeah. I mean, I still would have done that. Regardless of the situation, it would have been too difficult to sit Barkley anytime he's on the field. And again, I think this will be probably one of the lowest workloads he gets all season.
Yeah, I mean, like he didn't play well, but realistically here, like it's still his first game back, so you gotta, take your time on a guy like that. But we'll see. I mean,
the key to waivers is to lose week 1. That is very factual.
Yeah.
Last year, I
And then
remember my
Elijah
first
Mitchell.
waiver pickup was T. Higgins. I saw that he was getting targets in his first game. I came out and grabbed him immediately, and I lost my first matchup week 1, and then I grabbed T. Higgins, and I rode him for as like a wide receiver 2 the rest of the season.
Yep. Meanwhile, don't sleep on Tim Patrick. Don't worry about that. I'll talk about him on tomorrow's video. But I'm pretty intrigued by him in terms of his
I prefer Hamler
participation.
personally, but I think they're both great pickups.
Patrick was next in line once Judy went out. Like I understand like the allure of Hamler because of the deep target potential, but in terms of actual usage, it was Patrick in terms of the utilization reports, the snap counts. The targets were the same, but Patrick was more productive on them. Like either way, they're both dart throws, but I personally would go with Patrick because we did see him last year kind of step into that 2 slot when starting to miss the season. So I don't know.
Robert Hunt, Dolphins offensive lineman Robert Hunt says, if Hollywood gets busy tonight, should I package him with Hurts for a top end player who people might be panicking about or find a way to start them? Yeah. Anytime you can do anything like that, if you get a week 1 performance like that at a Jalen Hurts and Hollywood Brown, if Hollywood Brown comes out and catches 4 passes for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns on this game, and you can, get up to a Mike Evans with a Hollywood Brown plus Jalen Hurts, you always do something like that. You're always looking to acquire studs come in season time. We don't just give you draft advice around here because it doesn't stop at the draft. You can draft, like very rarely are you ever just going to draft an excellent team all the way around. Like you always need to be working the trade market, working the waiver wire market. And this is a great example of something you can do to capitalize on the week 1 overreaction. Meanwhile, we already answered that. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Just ask the question once. We'll get to it. Just appreciate if you guys can do that. What do you think about the Green Bay Slackers? That's pretty funny. Majorly disappointing showing. Again, I think they were just caught off guard, not prepared enough for the game. I don't think they're going to do that again this season.
Yep, I agree there. Let's talk about the Niners situations. Oh, yeah.
Brock says, thank you for your help. Yep, no worries. Outlook on Brandon Ayuk, again, one of the better buy low targets in fantasy. I do believe Kyle Shanahan when he says that Brandon Ayuk was eased in because he was dealing with a hamstring injury for the last 10 days or so. So I'm really hoping that he can turn things around. Otherwise, it's going to be a big miss on my resume, a big miss on your resume through the offseason. But, I mean, I can't sit here and say after 1 week that I'm completely done with Brandon Ayuk. I saw way too much his rookie season. I saw way too much throughout training camp. And I see people on Twitter acting like Brandon Ayuk was like having a down camp, which was never the case. I'm not really sure what the talk was there.
Like I heard a report apparently like coming back from his injury, he was like a little slow in camp, but like there's people I saw that was like, oh, apparently like Trent Sherfield outplayed him. No, you're trying to tell me a career backup special teamer and Trent Sherfield earned snaps over Brandon Ayuk? Get that fucking Fugazi.
Yeah, I think Kyle Shanahan just said that because he was easing Ayuk back in and just giving credit to Sherfield for having a good camp. Just giving Sherfield some confidence. He's not the number 2 receiver on this team or the number 1 receiver on this team now. I think Ayuk is still the number 1 receiver on this team. Once he's healthy, again, monitor the practice reports. If Brandon Ayuk is limited all week with a hamstring injury, maybe you don't start him this week. But if he is full practice at any point this week, I'm throwing him back in my lineup in my flex spot.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like if you're still like nervous and you have a decent flex spot, like if you have like a Sterling Shepard on your bench and you'd feel comfortable just kind of seeing Ayuk's usage for a game, I understand making that type of move, but I genuinely think Ayuk's fine. I think next week, week 3 or so, like we're going to start seeing the Brandon Ayuk of old, the one that was legitimately an 85th plus percentile separator last year as a rookie. They didn't just spend a first round pick on a guy who performed like a madman to bench him a year later for really no apparent reason.
Yeah, he's not getting the Dante Pettis treatment. Dante Pettis never did anything close to what Brandon Ayuk did his rookie year. It's not the same situation. I know it's Kyle Shanahan and a receiver that's young, but Dante Pettis never showed anything. It was all hype with him. We all hyped him up as a fantasy community. He never actually did anything. Brandon Ayuk did stuff. So do you think I should try and sell high on Mike Williams if I have both him and Keenan Allen? Absolutely. If you have both of them, even if you don't have both of them, I would still try and sell high on Mike Williams. So I think that's a great call there. Yes, I will use it on Michelle. So the number 1 waiver priority he's talking about, on Mitchell, not Michelle. I also have Derrick Henry in this standard league. Should I be worried with Henry or just week 1 hiccups? Bad game script. It's going to happen once or twice this year that the Tennessee Titans, lose and not lose, but like lose by a decent margin. And Henry's kind of phased out of the game plan. Titans are a good team. I don't expect them to lose many games like that. That was all under the table. Yep. Sell Williams. Yep. I agree. Don't worry about Henry for sure. Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift. Can we start both of them, or is Williams a sell high? Oh, okay. Yeah. Jamal Williams is a sell high. If you can sell Jamal Williams off the back of like a 24-point game, I think that's a great move. I think he's going to be involved. I think he's a great option in case anything happens to Swift. But an every week starter, if anybody has that in their mind, then you can really capitalize on that. And I would, imagine you could probably get some decent wide receiver options, maybe another running back option for Jamal Williams. Like there's going to be some idiots out there that trade James Robinson straight up for Jamal Williams.
Just touching up on Jamal. I will say though, like unless anybody's like willing to pay high for him, like if you're not getting crazy offers, I still don't mind the move of keeping him. Reason being, neither do I. Again, this is more specifically in PPR leagues because I genuinely think like could Jamal Williams be put into that Nyheim Hines, James White, where like you punted your RB2, punted your RB3, you need flex value from your RB2 slot. I think Jamal Williams could be a guy who catches 3 to 5 passes per game. Is he going to catch 8 and a touchdown? No, I don't think that's going to happen. But 3 to 5 passes probably contributes about like 8 to 12 points on a median type of basis. Like I think he can be that type of guy.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. Was able to get Claypool low. Hopefully he turns it up next week. Yeah, Claypool is a great example of a buy low receiver as well. Again, you guys know how high we were on Chase Claypool. Again, he just didn't have that great of a game. He saw a lot of Tre'Davious White on the outside. It wasn't a shadow coverage matchup necessarily. Every time I was watching the Steelers game, I noticed Tre'Davious White was on Chase Claypool. I'm assuming they played a lot of snaps across from each other. That is one of the best corners in the league and also the type of corner that matches up very well with what Chase Claypool does. So I'm not worried about Chase Claypool. Again, if you can get him low, I would go ahead and do that for sure. Dynasty, Ridley or Amari. I mean, it would have probably been Ridley the whole time for me. It's not a big age discrepancy between the two guys because Ridley was an older prospect coming out, but I'll take Calvin Ridley there slightly. Again, if you're on a win now team though, it doesn't matter. Like I think Amari and Ridley are going to be relatively close this year in production, especially with Gallup out for a number of weeks. But I will take Calvin Ridley long term because I trust the volume, the fact that he doesn't have a CeeDee Lamb breathing down his neck like what Amari is dealing with.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned how much older you think Amari is than Calvin Ridley.
I'm willing to bet they're within like a year and a half, maybe.
It's under a year.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me at all because Amari was a super young prospect and Calvin Ridley was a super old prospect. So kind of counterbalances each other, even though Ridley was drafted like 3 years after.
I would still personally prefer Ridley, but like, man, like it's a lot closer than what it should be right now. Like genuinely speaking, like going into the offseason, everybody would have been like, oh, Calvin Ridley, like 2 tiers above, yada, 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 because people weren't really sure how this Cowboys offense would look, how would the targets be distributed between those top 3 wide receivers, how would Zeke be really utilized, but it's clear as day. Like if Amari Cooper is on his game, like I love CeeDee Lamb too, the Cowboys have legitimately, unless you want to mention maybe the Bucs and the Titans, probably the best receiving duo in the league. Like I genuinely believe that they have 2 top 10 to 12 talents on the outside.
Yeah, definitely no arguments there. So let's try and speed through some of these questions because we're like extremely behind here. Thoughts on the Titans? Did the Cardinals show the league how to stop that high-powered offense? Again, I think similar to the Packers, they just kind of got romped. They weren't ready. They didn't play a lot of starters in the preseason, and sometimes that shit happens. My starters got killed, but my bench popped off. I got Jamar Cooks. I'm looking to sell high on 1 to 2 of them. Any suggestions? So I wouldn't sell high on Jamar Chase. I would probably hold on to him. Brandon Cooks, I also wouldn't sell high on. I actually think Brandon Cooks is going to be the real deal this year, a guy that you're probably going to be willing to flex pretty much week in and week out. I'm assuming Harris is Damian Harris and Williams is Jamal Williams. I have no idea which Williams you're talking about. It's a very broad last name. And AB I'm holding, Cooks I'm holding, and Jamar I'm holding. I would sell Damian Harris and Jamal, Mike Williams, whoever those guys are there, of those 5 options that you have there. He said Jamal Williams right below it. Okay. DJ Moore or A-Rob rest of season? I'll take Allen Robinson slightly. Yeah. Is Mark Ingram going to be relevant here? Yeah, I actually I haven't even mentioned this yet, but the fact that Mark Ingram got 26 carries in this game, I mean, he didn't do a whole lot with him, obviously, because he's Mark Ingram. He's an old running back. If you can get him for $10, $15 of your fab budget, of your $100 fab budget, 10 to 15%, I suppose that's an okay pickup, but I have a feeling that this Mark Ingram thing isn't going to last. This could be a trap pickup for sure, week 1 or week 2 comes along and Phillip Lindsay has 10 carries, David Johnson has 9, and Mark Ingram has 7. Like, it wouldn't shock me if that's the case next week.
Yep. No, I agree. Like, again, like I'm not really too worried about picking up or rushing to pick up Mark Williams, Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
Receivers
and Matthew Stafford carried combined for 90 points for sure. Elijah Moore. Yep. Start Jacobs or Hollywood tonight. So I'm just trying to get through some questions that are like actually like time sensitive here. Start Jacobs or Hollywood tonight, just going for high score of the week. So what are your thoughts on this? I think I kind of need to know what the scoring format is. If this is like a standard league, I'm definitely starting Jacobs, but it sounds like Jacobs is going to go in this game. There was reported that he was like dealing with an illness or whatever, but I think if you need a ceiling game, he says just going for high score of the week. I actually don't mind starting Hollywood over Jacobs if you need a ceiling game. Yeah. I need a huge game out of one of my running backs, like 30 points. I know it's a long shot, but Jacobs or Williams PPR. Give me Jacobs there. I still would start him over Williams, and Danny just ducked out of here. I'm just going to rip through a lot of these questions because I'm like extremely behind right now. Mac Daddy Jones looked good. I know they lost, but he will grow, and Damien Harris looked like he had 40 yards in the first quarter. Yep. Thoughts on Thielen stealing the points? Yeah, Thielen still the preferred red zone option, it looks like, in that Vikings offense. So good work there. 70% Melvin Gordon's 100 yards came from one play. Javonte still on top for sure. Aaron Jones and Nyuk sold me this week. Yeah, facts. Javon, I'm sure you did well. Every time we talk to you, it sounds like you have like way too many talented players on your team. Should we be looking to trade J-Rob or hold? I'd be looking to see what I can get for him because I'm really not encouraged with what I saw, but I have a feeling you're not going to have anybody just up and offer you David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift for the guy. They're probably going to be like, hey, do you want Myles Gaskin or Darrell Henderson for him? And in that case, I think I'd rather have James Robinson.
I'd rather Miles Sanders if you can get that.
If you can get Miles Sanders, yeah, that might be a play for sure. Because it looks like, what Hurts showed to me is like, he might actually be a good quarterback this year. And Sanders also looked quite good from what I watched of him. Jacobs or Williams tonight for a big game, PPR. Give me Josh Jacobs. You're taking Tyson over Josh Jacobs?
With the he's kind of questionable coming in. I know he got cleared, but he's kind of dealing with some issues. I think that they're gonna get absolutely flambustered, like genuinely speaking.
I know, man. I think the energy in that Vegas building is gonna be pretty electric. I think it's gonna be a close game.
Call me Gutty. I think Drake might outscore Jacobs today.
That's definitely possible. I don't think the game script is going to be completely out of control, though. I think the Raiders, they played everybody close last year. They beat the Chiefs. Like, I don't think they're a team that gets blown out very often. So I think they're going to keep it close tonight. Anyway, Josh says, thoughts on Gibson and McKissick usage? Saw McKissick in the 2-minute offense. He was in the 2-minute offense in the long down and distance type of plays, but Gibson actually ran more routes than McKissick. So I am not really concerned at all with J.D. McKissick. I am very excited, in fact, given the fact that I do have Antonio Gibson in the league I care most about. This was a guy that saw like 83% of the Washington opportunities.
87% opportunities.
87%. And saw 25 opportunities overall. So I am absolutely ecstatic about what I saw to Gibson. Obviously, didn't look very good in the game. Also fumbled, but I think brighter days are ahead. Heineke taking over. He can move a little bit. Maybe that opens up some running lanes for Antonio Gibson. It's a little unfortunate that Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't going to be the quarterback because I thought Fitzpatrick was going to have a good season this year, but Heineke honestly has played pretty well from what I've seen of him in the last, 3 or 4 starts that he's played.
I will say one thing though. I am very, very confident with what I saw from De'Ami Brown. I know the production wasn't there, but the utilization, the target share, everything in that regard was there. I think he mustered roughly a 20% target share as a rookie. He is this team's clear number 2 wide receiver, at least until Curtis Samuel comes back. And when Curtis Samuel comes back, he's still going to see a significant amount of snaps on the field again. Play majority on the outside there. I think the biggest takeaway is that when Curtis Samuel comes back, I genuinely think that it might render Logan Thomas as being the guy that takes the biggest hit. And again, we've mentioned that all offseason, but I'm just give me Tyler Higbee, give me Robert Tonyan, give me all of those guys over even what I saw from Logan Thomas in week 1. And I know
the Saints defense, by the way, is one of the best pickups that you guys can make. They play Sam Darnold in the Panthers next game. We always know he's prone to turnovers. They play a rookie quarterback and Mac Jones after that. Then they play Daniel Jones, which is the single. If you start whatever defense is playing against Daniel Jones every single week in fantasy, you'll probably have a top 5 defense on the year. So, the Saints defense, they also play Washington with Taylor Heineke after that. So they got 4 matchups that you can start them, and their defense looked very good as well. So, Saints defense, definitely a good pickup there. Do you think Robert Woods will still be good in this new Rams offense with all the weapons? Yeah, I think Woods will be just fine. Kyler did so good for me this week. Yep, me too. Package Robinson and Waddle for Montgomery and Allen Robinson / Corey Davis. Really? Somebody's willing to do this? I would do this just for Montgomery.
Easily.
Yeah, definitely Allen Robinson
what?
if you're going to pick one of them. But if you can get Montgomery and Robinson, the little bear stack there, give me that any day of the week over both of those options. I would do that even for the Corey Davis side of things. Do you have any take on Henry? No, I don't. I think Derrick Henry will be just fine. What a time to be alive. We are live. Facts. Yes, sir. Thoughts on Gainwell? I think he's a fine pickup if you're going to spend, $5 to $10 of your waiver budget. I think he's a fine pickup, but I'm not,
I like what I saw from Gainwell, honestly.
I think he
talk
looked good.
Target or talk about the opportunity share. As good as I said, Miles Sanders looked, he still was able to close the gap. Miles Sanders got 20 opportunities. Kenneth Gainwell got 12, and we saw that Gainwell had a really good role on third down in the pass catching opportunity standpoint. You mentioned $5-10. I'd be willing, if you're super needy at running back, has a full PPR, 15-20, genuinely. Sorry, Did you hear any of that?
Yeah, I heard you. Sorry, the game has started, so I'm trying to speed through some of these. Okay, do you expect Taylor to play that big of a role in the passing game again? I know the Colts talked about using him in the passing game. How many targets did he have?
I know he had 6 for 60 in terms of his line. I think he had 8 targets, if I'm not mistaken.
Really? Okay, that's definitely encouraging to see then.
And the overall opportunity
the answer
share
to that
was
question,
42
Brock,
to
is that I
34.
Do.
So both these running backs are getting heavily involved.
I do.
Also, the game just started.
These Colts receivers are not good. I think they're going to need to get their production in the passing game from their running backs because their receiving core isn't very good. Zach Pascal had 2 touchdowns in this game. Michael Pittman Jr., surprise, didn't do that much because he's not some elite breakout candidate. So I really do think that Taylor is going to get drawn up a lot of screen passes. He's going to get used a fair amount in the passing game. So he's another guy that I'm willing to buy low on a little bit if you can. Thanks to the draft tips, ended up losing but scored a ton of points. Yep. Sounds like you ran into a buzzsaw this week there, Byron. Hey guys, I'm late. Thoughts on Calvin and Pitts? I think they'll be just fine. They got a bit of a tougher matchup this week against the Bucs defense, but I like what I saw out of Pitts from a usage standpoint, and I know Calvin Ridley is going to be just fine as well.
The question is, who does Carlton stick on?
If he does stick on Marcus Mariota's in this game right now, what the heck?
What? Oh, shit. We should probably wrap this up within the next couple of minutes, right?
For sure. If Carlton does stick on Ridley, then the type of receiver Ridley is, he should be able to do some damage against Carlton because that's route runners is usually the type of receivers that do well against a guy like Carlton Davis. Thoughts on Gibson and McLaurin without Fitzpatrick, Aaron Rodgers and Javonte bounce back next week. So first part of that question, I'm not really that concerned with Gibson and McLaurin. I think I've seen enough out of Heineke to say that it's a bit of a downgrade. I would say for McLaurin specifically. For Gibson, I'm not really concerned at all, but for McLaurin, it's a bit of a downgrade, but I'm not overly concerned. Aaron Rodgers definitely bounced back. Same with Devontae Adams, Ridley, Dalvin Cook for Ridley and Pitts. Who wins? Give me Dalvin Cook there.
Yeah, that's close. Yeah, I probably would still go Cook though. Love the live stream, fellas, as always. Listen to you guys. To be fair though, we didn't know Odell was going to miss the game.
Yeah. If we didn't know Odell was going to be out of the game, but I guess he had to play him because the Singletary played at 1, right? So, yeah,
that's fair.
No Malcolm Koons for tonight.
Give me Claypool this week or the upcoming week going up against.
I don't know, dude. Raiders. Brown against the Falcons.
I get that, but man,
oof, I don't know, man. I'm gonna be hard pressed to sit Antonio Brown this week.
I have a decision in my own league where I have Claypool and
who do the Steelers play? Do you know?
Raiders, bro.
Raiders? Okay, maybe that'd be hard pressed to start Claypool.
That's why I said it. Too. Yeah,
for sure. Lamar Jackson, 40 points tonight, Danny. Yeah, facts.
And, what's my luck with that, eh?
Okay, I'm gonna speed through these really fast. Some of the ones that I can get to. CH and Goff for Terry and Pitts. Give me Terry and Pitts there. Prop question: Mark Andrews more receiving yards than Hollywood Brown? Yes, give me Mark Andrews there. point per carry league, Kelsey Penny for Pitts and Elijah Mitchell. Yeah, give me Kelsey side easily.
Wait, Marcus Mariota had a 31-yard run?
Yeah, he did. He just had one. Hurts looked impressive to me. Yeah, I definitely love to see I love what I saw out of Jalen Hurts. Same with Mac Jones. Honestly, I think he looked good. That's so juju.
I'll quickly say I'll just quickly say I liked what the coaches were able to do with making the game overall easier for Hurts. ADOT was low, but that was more so just, getting Hurts rhythm, getting Hurts under what's it called? Getting the pressure off of Hurts is what I meant to say. But yeah, low ADOT, getting the ball out of his hands, getting it into space. Like I liked the way they were able to utilize Hurts. What do you make of Waddle?
I think Waddle is going to be involved still, but Fuller coming back is a big deal in my opinion. I think Fuller's going to be the number one target there. So maybe not quite as much out of Waddle, but in his first NFL game, I think he played well.
At this point, like I would rather Mitchell straight up over Carter easily.
I would too, but I think I'd rather drop Pittman. Or
I didn't even see that. Yeah,
or Bateman too. Honestly, Bateman's still hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, fair.
I'd drop Bateman, I think.
I love that midget. It's fair. Hey guys, after losing Dom's guys, I traded Hawk for Najee Harris Sunday. I mean, I would still take Najee Harris. He's fine 100% of the snaps. He's a full-grown bell cow.
Dude, you don't worry about that trade at all. Najee Harris
try to sell AB
any day of the week.
Yeah. AB and Henderson, Hines for Zeke since month. Yeah, dude, instantly if he accepts that. Instantly.
Yeah, for sure. Do we start Sherfield week 2 over Ayuk?
I mean,
again,
don't start either.
If Ayuk is limited all week in practice, I probably wouldn't start either of them. But if Ayuk is a full go in practice, then I think you can confidently start Ayuk again. Corey Davis season, yes, sir. Thoughts on Mark Ingram? Again, I'm not overly concerned with Mark Ingram. $5 to $10 fab budget maximum. Start Hollywood. Sorry, we're a little bit late on that one. Cobra Kai, but I would start Hollywood Brown. Texans backfield in general, gross. Don't really care. Sermon or Mitchell. If you got first priority on the waiver wire, which one do you pick up?
I would go Mitchell.
You would take Mitchell over Sermon, eh?
I'm gonna go with the one that actually dressed and the one that looked good with his opportunity. I
get it. Mitchell too. I'll take Mitchell too, but it's pretty crazy that we're saying that already.
I mean, like going into the season, yeah, but what am I supposed to say with that? Like the rational coaching that we've seen thus far.
What happens if it comes out that like Sermon was sat because he missed practice or something? Like it was a disciplinary reason why he was benched.
And even if that's the case, I still think Mitchell takes the Mostert role. And at this point, like the max that we could see Sermon is the role that I expected from him, which, you know what? Valued him as a 7th round redraft pick. I think he's going to be fine there. Red zone opportunity, maybe a little pass catching work. But I genuinely believe that Elijah Mitchell is just a younger version of what Raheem Mostert represents. And Raheem Mostert is gone for 8 weeks. So theoretically here, if we're getting, I don't know, let's say 15, 18 opportunities per game from Elijah Mitchell, I think he's a weekly RB2.
Yeah, don't disagree there. All right. Like we said, I'll go Claypool there. I'm more excited for both guys, to be honest, but I'm more excited for Smith, to be honest, because he has less target competition.
Both look great, man.
They both look phenomenal.
Fantastic.
I really liked what I saw to both guys.
Hey, what about the drops, though, bro?
Yeah.
Wait.
He's answering.
I would look for. There. I would just about to say I'd look for a little bit more than Waddle, even though I love Waddle. I think you can get more for him.
If you can get one of those rooks, I would take him for Mike Williams.
Yeah, I doubt it at this point, though.
No, I doubt it. Anthony Schwartz. He's not going to be the guy. He's gonna have big plays here and there, though.
8 weeks, no IR spot. Absolutely, yeah. Sandra, do we believe in Mark Ingram? He's available on waivers. Like if you can get like
$5 to $10 if you want to throw it out there, then it's fine. But
yeah, I wouldn't bid any more personally than $5. Listen, the game script is not going to happen again this year.
Yeah, you should hold. Don't be tripping. Everyone just hold. Just week 1 for sure. Agreed with the Ladster's analysis on Ayuk. He will boom real soon. Realistic sell high targets for Jamal Williams.
There's other running backs in the range. Like if I were to say like
James Robinson is a guy that I would try and get.
Yeah, but
I don't think you're going to be able to get him. But if you go Jamal Williams and let's say you had Jamal Williams and Mike Williams and you could get up to James Robinson with that, I'd probably try it.
Or what wide receivers underperformed this week too?
Number
other than like Mike Evans, like that's easy. But
I'm thinking Ayuk and Mike Evans are the only two off the top. Like Claypool underperformed this week.
I mean, you could try for something like that.
Maybe people are even try and go for like a T Higgins if people are super excited about Jamar Chase. Obviously, Can I be on the screen,
There you
please?
go.
Yeah, there you go, Hector. Give me T. Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins, but I really liked what I saw from Corey Davis, and I think for the time being, he's going to be at minimum a top 24 wide receiver for me weekly, like in my weekly rankings.
Higgins and Corey Davis. Yep, same exact question. Thoughts on Kenyan Drake? A good hold, but I want to see what the role is right now.
I like him
these guys. Is Waller doing good tonight? Yes, I think he will. Should I start Hunt instead of CEH? That's a legitimate conversation, but I still would start CEH.
No. 9 opportunities. What am I going to do with that?
Yeah. Thoughts on Dallas Goedert? Should I trade Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith for a tight end, or be excited for Dallas?
I would try to sell Dallas, and I would take if you can get Jared Cook, honestly, and Jared Cook in a piece for Dallas Goedert, I would rather have that. Jared Cook was involved, man.
Yeah, I know. I saw. Saints tight end, a deep sleeper, Troutman or Juwan Johnson. I'm not sure which one he's referring to, but I would say Troutman, a deep sleeper, sure.
I mean, yeah.
He said Juwan Johnson.
I don't want either.
So maybe not. I'm not overly interested in Juwan Johnson personally. It's Raider time. Good luck to your Raider, Spicy, for sure. Hope it's a shootout. Thanks, Nathan. I hope it's not a shootout because I took the under. Tyrone says Ravens for sure. Raiders getting blown away today. I don't think so. I think they're going to keep it within 10 points, but that's still kind of a blowout if they do. Hunter CH week 2, please help. Again, we'll have you covered closer to that point in time, but I would still go with CEH there. Coming for 49er fan, Myles Gaskin, and Damian Harris for Najee Harris. Easily Najee Harris, not even close. Bruce Puffer in the building. Want the game live. How do I get it? I have no idea. We're Canadian.
Sam's got you.
Yeah, he's got you with the Stream East. Trade Kamara and Cousins for Elliott, Rodgers, and
I'm still keeping Kamara.
Yeah.
His current tight end's just sicky. What other
you're
tight ends
Elliott
are on your
guy.
waivers?
You're getting a better quarterback, a slight downgrade at running back, in your opinion, and Noah Fant.
But the problem is, as much as I think Rodgers is a better quarterback,
Cousins has a great schedule too.
That's what I'm saying. 7 weeks. What tight ends are available on your waiver wire? Because I would personally just hold, and if you can
if I'm being honest, I think I take this trade.
If there's no real viable tight ends,
is about to go crazy without Jerry Jeudy in the lineup.
Maybe
I think we could be talking about a top 5 tight end here.
Yeah, it's close. The fact that we're actually debating it kind of just shows you it's a fair value trade. But
yeah, Mario,
I just don't know if I can give up on. I don't know if I can give up on Kamara, man.
No, I'm not giving up on Kamara. This has nothing to do with Kamara. It's about the package that you're getting. Because Cousins is a streamable quarterback, so I don't really value him too high. But the Elliott, Rodgers, and Fant side of things, that's 3 legitimate pieces for your lineup. Chucky dialing up the keeper for sure. All right. See you, boys. You're right. Colts' best offensive playmakers are both of the running backs. I agree. Pascal, a decent number of touchdowns. He's the only wide receiver I like. Yeah, I literally took Zach Pascal towards the end of best ball season. I started taking him in the 18th round of every draft that I was doing because I figured he would be as valuable as Michael Pittman Jr. this year. Jacobs already scampering to the sideline. Jacobs limped out. Oof, yikes. Okay, so Kenyan Drake is getting a little bit of a bump right now.
I would keep Latavius here, honestly. I want to see what his role is.
I would rather have Latavius Murray than Mark Ingram for sure.
Drop Pollard, Latavius, or my handcuff Madison for Mitchell. I would drop Madison. He split time with Amir Abdullah in relief of Cook.
Genuinely. I would also drop Madison as well.
Backup center comes in and missnapped. Hunt versus Higgins, Flexi Higgins. It's not even close.
Yep. All right. So that's all the questions we can get to, guys. Make sure you guys enjoy the game. Like the video if you haven't already done so. Comment down below. I'm going to be putting out basically a update of everything that we have to offer you guys, our content schedule, couple announcements. I'm going to be dropping that in the next couple hours. So just, pay attention for that. Actually, I'm going to drop it tomorrow morning. I'm not going to drop it in the next couple hours. I'm going to drop it tomorrow morning. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Danny will also have waivers tomorrow morning. I will have trade targets later in the day. See you, Spicy Hot, the kid. I was versing Head Cooper and Lockett. Yep, that is a big yikes. So peace out, guys. Enjoy the game.